Yeah, like two of the things that he said is right. My name is Richard Dover. I work at a private equity firm. Being associated with lawyers is tough for me, but you know. See, I'm already winning the crowd. Good evening, everybody. Mr. Speaker, thank you for hosting today. We're obviously convened here with important purpose, and so I'm pleased that Yale has sent their best. Free love is neither. And I'm here to discuss why the love you think is free is nothing close. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, for the next 7 minutes, I will make all of you realize how mommy never really loved you. She just wanted to make sure you didn't put her in a nursing home. To fully grasp the breadth and substance of the premise, I believe it is vital that I spend a few minutes today discussing some of the most important thinkers of our time and generations prior. But first, let us start with asking the right questions. What is love? Amor, amore. Or for the Swedish members of the audience, älskar. It's pretty. Is it something we do, or is it something we know? Some classify love as something you feel for somebody else. It is often linked or used interchangeably with lust, and others feel it is something that is constant and untouched by judgment and feeling. The only common denominator for love is that it is something desirable. It is something we all want. And what of freedom? Ronald Reagan once said, "Freedom prospers when religion is vibrant and the rule of law under God is acknowledged." As you are all arguing for the opposition, I think that you'll allow me, for the purposes of our debate this evening, to assume that you're not the biggest fans of Ronald Reagan. And while he may have done something associated with the act of love to this country, it wasn't something that was so appreciated by all of us. For the purposes of this debate, I think we must define freedom as being completely unobstructed and unrestrained. And if we're going to talk about love, then we must discuss the French. We always knew the French were good at lying down and taking it, but in my preparation for this debate, The Economist has taught me that the average number of times French people have sex every year is 130, which is the most in Europe. Have you guys had sex 130 times in the last year? I thought it would be easier to find free love in college, but maybe not at Yale. By the way, just to be clear, we're all paying costs on this side of the table. I'm dating a Jewish girl, and whether or not you're part of the tribe, everyone knows that that has a cost. Back to the matter at hand. Sourcing is important, and especially for any debate of this stature, getting information from reliable sources is key. So I went to Oprah.com, where I got a full breakdown of some of the most interesting statistics on the states of love. In Arkansas, the state wants you to say "I do" and mean it. The governor declared a state of marital emergency in the year 2000, suggesting that offering tax credits to couples who would take a marital course simply because the cost to the state was too severe. When you're talking about even the most basic act of two individuals who love each other, it is so at threat all of the time that that the state actually needs to get involved to coach couples in order to avoid those costs. Florida requires high school students to take a similar class. And unfortunately, and not coincidentally, they're among the 10 states with the highest divorce rates in the end. But back to the French. Jean-Paul Sartre was a French existentialist philosopher, playwright, novelist, screenwriter, political activist, biographer, literary critic. And to this day, his work continues to hold considerable influence in the field of Marxist philosophy, sociology, critical theory, and literary studies. So obviously for our esteemed hippie, free love token opposition, he's a big guy. For Sartre, love was a project to find acceptance from another individual. It was the idea that we, in order to be fulfilled, need to have recognition from a counterpart. But for Sartre, all of human existence is about finding acceptance in these other people. And he shares this opinion with pretty much anybody who's ever been on a Real Housewives show in the United States. But this becomes more and more true when looking deeper into his philosophy. Each person needs to appeal to another, and this stems from the belief that the, quote, other holds the secret to what I am. When we wish to view each other through the measures of another, we are inherently limiting ourselves. And such, if we go back to our definition of freedom as being unobstructed and unrestrained, there is no such thing as love that is free. This limits the potential for the self. This limits the potential of oneself to only be what the other has decided that it is, and ultimately, that self loses freedom. But I'd like to spend a few minutes responding to our esteemed opposition and some of the points that were addressed. The first is that the norm, as it has been addressed by the opposition, is what is inherently evil. By the fact that we accept a norm of of marriage as being the antithesis to free love, is basically saying that if as the norm was in different parts of the country in the 1960s, was free love, such as in San Francisco, we are still bearing the cost of those movements today. So it is not only that our traditional thoughts of marriage as being confined and the material and divorce costs that come associated with it, but even if you appeal to the period of what was titled free love, those costs still affect us and those policies still affect us today. And to believe that love or any other feeling, whether it is rejection, whether it is any sort of emotion like or not getting picked for the basketball team, the element of rejection is inherently itself a cost. Whether it's emotional or financial, that doesn't matter, but it's still a cost. And there is no such thing as free love. And by accepting the fact that love exists if we go to Sartre or if we go to anything that we know about ourselves as individuals, you are inherently confined. You're confined to societal norms, you're confined to the individual or the thing that you love in order to make yourself accepted by them. And such, any sort of argument is void if it were socially accepted or if it were not socially accepted, as you are confining yourself, your beliefs, your moves, or any of the like. You're leaving yourself, you are inherently unfree. One of the other statistics that I took from Oprah.com was the fact that the percentage by which you are more likely to get ill if you are in an unhappy marriage is over 35%. Whether you're in a loving relationship that is traditional or a loving relationship that is untraditional, the fact that you would not be the fact that any sort of rejection, any sort of confinement in any way is an inherent cost psychologically, biologically, emotionally, or financially. Thank you very much.